Hey there, been a while, huh? So at the start of the summer I was feeling pretty good about myself. I had just uploaded my Switch Sports video, which has way more views now than I ever thought a video I'd make would have, so thank you for that. Analog Horror Volume 1 is also close behind it in views, which is dope. Anyways, I had big plans for the summer. I was going to use this newfound momentum to upload even more frequently, like I've always wanted to, and then I got home just to lay around watching the new Stranger Things and playing Dead by Daylight until, whoa, would you look at that, school's starting already. But that's besides the point. The point is that I'm finally back. Yep, this is the one this time, for real. Just stealth uploaded Epi's Absence 2, and now here we are, talking about a really cool album. Oh yeah, the video. So today I'd like to share with you an essay that I wrote last year after listening to a very interesting project called Everywhere at the End of Time. In this video I'll mainly focus on the emotions and inspiration surrounding the project instead of the intricate details, because many people have done that so much better than I have. Go watch those please, thank you. But I'll mainly focus on the emotions and artistic strategies surrounding the project, as well as my own and other personal experiences connected to it. Welcome in. I've always loved music, especially when it comes to albums or projects that push boundaries to go above and beyond. Recently, I found myself extremely intrigued by a particular project, or rather a group of projects, under the artist name of The Caretaker. For a brief background, The Caretaker is one of many alias names adopted by English native and experimental electronic musician Leland Kirby. He began developing a fascination with big band and ballroom music from the 1920s and 30s most notably, which he often samples extensively in his music, this project included. When it came to the task at hand, Kirby decided to create a project consisting of 6 separate albums that all connected to tell a story about the main stages of dementia and Alzheimer's disease. The albums were all released within a span of 3 years, from 2016 to 2019, and received more critical acclaim as new installments came out. As the project progresses, the charming ballroom music and orchestration heard in the first few stages becomes gradually more confusing and distorted in the later albums. The project seems to resonate heavily with victims and relatives of those who suffer from dementia, not to mention the literal caretakers of patients struggling with the disease. Many elderly and adult listeners alike can appreciate how the project brings to light the concept of Alzheimer's and helps gain empathy from a younger audience who may not think much about the details otherwise. There have been countless studies and demonstrations done, whether digital or otherwise, about the effects of dementia on the brain. However, very few come close to communicating the emotional toll and slow decline of patients experiencing memory loss in the same way that Everywhere at the End of Time manages to do. Of course, the project was produced mainly by Leland the Caretaker Kirby, but he got plenty of inspiration by working with a painter who excels at familiarizing himself with the unfamiliar. Ivan Seal is the mastermind behind the cover art for not just one, but all 6 installments of this series. They portray somewhat familiar figures, yet it's difficult to recognize what exactly the subject is in each piece. The album art, in my opinion, is a massive contributor to the weight of the project, and further details the concept of a deteriorating mind, as the music gets more and more unrecognizable to the listener. After I got the chance to listen to the project in full, which is a whopping 6 hours long, it became very hard to think about much else for a while. The songs, and more specifically the emotions that they evoke, stick with me still and continue to intrigue me even well after I've listened to these albums for the first time. As my interest got the best of me, I continued to research the project and its origins for the following week, and ended up discovering the full original songs that many of the early 1900s ballroom samples came from in the albums. The project borrows sounds and melodies from the likes of Al Bowley and musical duo Turner Layton and Clarence Johnston, and I was even inspired to use some of the original songs for the Analog Horror video from a few months ago. It creates a feeling of authenticity that's often lost in traditional demonstrations of dementia through the absence of vocalists. With the intense surge of a certain disease gaining more traction after this project concluded, people in recent years have been given an extended amount of time to listen to and process the 6-album behemoth of a project, and most seem to conclude with a similar idea. It's an exhausting trip through the mental and emotional struggles of those suffering from Alzheimer's disease, dementia, amnesia, and similar memory loss related conditions. I personally believe it's important to understand the project not only for yourself, but it may hold extra meaning if you witness someone close to you mentally deteriorate in their own way. Personally, the project reminds me a bit of my late grandmother, who struggled with some memory issues in the last few years of her life. She was never diagnosed with Alzheimer's, but it was clear that she wasn't the sharpest mentally as she got closer to death. Often, she would mistake me and my little brother for each other, calling us the wrong name or trailing off into thoughts about the distant past. Sometimes my grandmother would mistake my dad for his dad, her late husband, and my grandfather, who I never even got the chance to meet. He died long before I was born, which goes to show how much that time was blended together in those hazy, sleepy moments. It's heartbreaking to watch someone you love go through that sort of mental decline, but it's comforting to hear from others with similar stories, and that's exactly what a project like this does. In the complete YouTube video, which of course I'll link in the description, the comments are filled with heartfelt stories of the relatives of dementia patients and emotional clarity in a form of shared experience. It's masterfully done, blurring the line between beautiful and disturbing, and I would recommend it to anyone who's interested. I originally decided to split up the 6 hours into sessions of 2 hours each, within a span of 3 days considering I had classes to attend, but I must admit that the effect is much stronger by a straight listen all the way through. I hope that you can find some meaningful interest in these albums the way that I did, and consider listening to them for yourself. I'm Joni Baloney. I hope you have a wonderful day or night wherever you are, and as always, thanks for watching.